Live. So, finally had one of those situations they talk about in process serving. I don't know if anybody talks about this type of situation where people say, like, oh, something gets a little intense. Well, sorry, I'm trying to block the light. It's too bright. There. I'll go over here. Man, I need to set these things up better. So I showed up at this house, and these people are being sued for $35,000 on a credit card. That's a big deal. I think it was maybe their HELOC or something. It's a direct lawsuit from the in-house counsel of a big bank, and so they have this Rottweiler moat. Maybe I talked about it already. They have a fence around their property, but it's on like a regular street where you'd see a cul-de-sac, and it's like 2-story house. Nice places, like probably worth $700,000 and stuff. Here in San Diego County, and they have a Ring doorbell on the gate, but the gate you can push the handle and it would open. There's a big Rottweiler right there, and then there's the door. So the Ring doorbell, I don't know if it rings through at all or if they can see anything. But if you hit the thing, it goes and it goes blue like that, and that's supposed to make you look at it, and then so someone could see who it is. Well, I'm trying to show them who I am. And saying like, hey, you have a lawsuit, you want to hire an attorney. This is kind of heftier one. I'm sorry you have to deal with this, but I'm just a messenger type of thing. Going and knocking, not all hours of the day. We start at 7 a.m. and stop at 10 p.m. I'm usually only over there like once, maybe twice a day. I get 11 in the morning or like 4 at night or something. I think I went at 7, but last night I went at like 4. And they were coming out of the house, and there's always a commercial vehicle parked right there, like a car with the name of the business on it. They were coming out of the house, and they were going right to the car. I went, oh no, I didn't want to drive up all fast, like I was gonna hop out like for a fight, right? Like, because that's what it would seem like, hopping out with some paper, like, So I just like drove up and got out. I rolled the window down and said, sir, ma'am, are you this name? They look at each other and they go, don't. The husband like goes, no. Like, look straight ahead and don't talk. Don't say anything. Don't admit it's you. Like, I couldn't hear him say, don't admit it's you. I think he said, don't say anything. So, don't say anything is different than don't admit that it's you. But I said the name. It was the wife's name. And then I started walking toward it. I said, is this you? Is this your wife? Is this you? Is this your wife? These are court documents on a process server showing my little registration, on a process server. These are court documents. You need to deal with this. I'm just delivering them. It's not my fault. It's I'm sorry you have to deal with it, type of thing. Like, hoping. And then he rolled up the window as I was doing that, but I said the name and pointed to it. And so I turned it into the business as, if someone refuses service, you're supposed to leave it where they can see it and where you two were, basically. But usually it's in the front yard. I was only able to get to the very middle of the street, and they were on the other side of the street going this way. I just come in this way. So I walked up to the gate, and I folded it in 4s, and there's a little perfect little gap to put the document in. So when they open the gate, they'd have to see it. Well, so I took pictures of that and everything. I didn't want to disturb a single thing. I thought about putting it under the windshield wiper. I didn't want them to claim that I touched their personal property or something. Like, they have all these big blankets in the windows and stuff. Debt really gets to people, It's like the fear of the boogeyman. I think the anxiety of debt is probably similar to some drug behaviors, but these are not. Once in a while, the house I go to, I think, well, okay, there's alcohol and drug abuse here. This is not one of those situations, but the avoidance and everything, like, I feel bad, but it's something people have to deal with, and it's an amount that's large enough, I think, to force a court sale. It's very rare that a business would do that, because you have to have not only the first and second mortgage, but if they have a homestead exemption of like $75,000, and then the sales costs, and then also I think the court has to be paid on top of that, and then there has to be money to enforce most of the judgments, a certain amount of the judgment. I looked at it a while ago just for my own edification a few years ago. I mean, I guess it could happen. I don't read too much into these document packages because it's not really any of my business. It is a little. I mean, we're authorized by law to read it, but I only look for stuff like, okay, is there anything in here that can help me figure out who's who in the zoo when I show up in a neighborhood? But basically, politeness and tact are what gets everything done. This felt like a it was just like I was just kind of pressing a wall in at them, like it felt like almost like if I moved too fast, then it would turn into a fight. But it was just like and this is the thing. Like I feel like a collector, but process service is not collecting. It's someone's constitutional right. And I mean, if you hear me say this, you might be going, "Yeah, right. You're a collector." It's not. It's someone's constitutional right to know what's been filed in a court of law. So all of the law, all the rules, the nuance of it are all based on that principle. That's the undergirding principle of it all. So you don't want to trespass and assault people and harass people. The guy driving off was like, I didn't know if I thought about putting it on the windshield right then and there, like, but maybe I should carry a magnet in my pocket in case that ever happens again. So put it like right on the hood of a car. Pink. It's probably a trick someone uses. Walk up to every house with a big magnet on the papers just in case. Just tap it on there. You've been served. I don't know. So we'll see if they accept it or if they make me keep going out. And they said do not post on this one because you have to apply to the courthouse for like $500 for an application for posting, for like putting it on someone's fence normally. But I considered since there's about equidistance from me to the car and then from the car to the fence. So rather than leave it right in the middle of the street, like duct tape it down to the street, that'd be ridiculous. That's not the exact rule to leave it exactly where you were. It's like, I think it's to leave it like it's reasonable to leave it right at the gate, I think. So we shall see. It's a large enough dollar amount where they might want to, I don't know. I work through a different business, a process serving business. They might want to double up on it. My recommendation would be to spend the $500 since it's a large enough of amount to just post it, consider it posted, and that's it. But we shall see. Things that strike me as how law cases and law procedures and business procedures should be, organizational procedures should be, how people's reasoning and logic should be it's not how they always are. Usually there's some jurisdiction somewhere that works exactly the way I think something should be. And that's the thing about law. Makes me not want to become an attorney and just want to do paralegal research, subcontracting, and writing subcontracting for attorneys and market to find clients to hire the attorneys and put together paralegal teams. Is that I think what people do in most situations is relatively borderline reasonable and therefore human. I don't think anybody is so egregiously wrong. Okay, crime cases aside, and then things where people are egregiously wrong. But when you have this thing about, I think if something's right in one jurisdiction and wrong in another jurisdiction, you're in a jurisdiction where it's wrong, you're still a reasonable human. So I don't, being a religion major, the philosophy of it feels like between you and God, you might probably be just all right with what way you're dealing with whatever the business situation is. But debt cripples people's situations. These credit card companies have us dead to rights. Not really, but it's a big, gnarly secondary debt world too. They sell these charge-offs. Midland Credit buys a lot of them, or Midland Finance. I can't remember what they're called. Midland. They buy these things and they figure out when. I think they go to collections first, and then they do a lawsuit if it's big enough. If it's within, I think it has to be like 3 years of the original debt. So see a lot of those at least once or twice a week. It's some kid who's usually underage or like in their earlier 20s, and they're taking care of mom and grandpa and everything, and like the mom or the grandpa has a lawsuit for a credit card that's like $3,000. That is a very common equation. There's these dollar amount increments where people get buckets of credit, and those are the people I wish I could just say, like, tell the lenders, like, hey, I think these people are probably I think they're probably judgment proof. They probably don't have any assets for you to go after. And two, maybe you could write it off as like a charitable expense, because some of these people have like just all the indicia of poverty. But someone got a credit card somehow. So, anyways, that's my new life this last month. I mean, I've been working on legal document assistance and having help people put together service of process for a while. I had to file a fee waiver 3 or 4 years ago when I worked for this lady. She had paid me like $5,000, and I had the sheriffs go do it, and she got tricked. No, one of her workers got tricked by the sheriffs because I worked for her in her house, and she always say, "Don't go to the door. We don't take service of process. Never answer the doorbell." I'm like, why do we not take service of process? Do we get sued all the time? Well, apparently every 3 weeks she tries to not pay somebody new. The federal prosecutors, I found a YouTube video of one of her court cases there. They're like, she's criminally insane. She rationalizes things like she doesn't have any duty and everybody else in the world has a duty and is at fault for every single type of thing. Like, that's just people, and most people walk away, but not me. I made sure to get a small claims judgment. I've seen 0 pennies of it. But it was worth it, though. I mean, it's worth it to start potentially a lifelong career of working as a process server, skip tracer. Maybe I'm going to be working for a PI, getting my JD so I can get a PI license and do a writ service for enforcement of judgment, help people get money when they sue in small claims and stuff. Or, limited civil and unlimited civil, but really kind of focused on the small worker who does work and doesn't get paid, or even the homeowner who paid a contractor and the contractor didn't pay their subcontractors, and then now they have a mechanics lien. I think that's one of those types of things. It feels the same because it's about the workers and people who are shirking paying workers and slow paying people and using them as a bank. There's a point where it just is like, it's unconscionable, but it's unconscionable. It's not like war crimes unconscionable, but in a sense it is, because that's where all these people's families' financial situations break down and, bad other things happen. So that's it. That's my story for today. We'll see if this one counts.